A very good evening and a warm welcome to Personal Finance. I'm Gugulethu Cele. Well, we're still in the tax season as it continues to run until the 25th of November this year. But today we're talking about the objection process as well as rights that you as a taxpayer are allowed to follow should you be aggrieved by a decision taken by SARS. In studio with me to guide us as to how best to do this is Busisiwe Mdletshe, who's the CEO of Btmt Capital. Sis Busi, good to have you with us on the show as always. Now, picking up on the theme, as we've mentioned, we are in tax season and some people might have submitted their claims and might have some confusion or disagreements with SARS and would want to follow an objection process. First things first, because SARS is regarded as this big brother that can do no wrong, are you even allowed to object as a taxpayer?
Yeah, most definitely you are. You know, if you've submitted your tax return and then they come back with their assessment, with the calculations that you're not happy with, it is within your rights to object those calculations through the process called objection process.
So objection process, and there's a fantastic example that we can allude to here, because so often some individuals might get financial gifts. So maybe your friends come together, they offer you 5,000 Rand, and SARS might view this as some kind of income and actually tax you on it. What process do you follow from there on?
So actually when you object, you fill in a form called ADR. It's Alternate Dispute Resolution form. So in that form, you actually put the reasons as to why you disagree with their calculations or why you disagree with their assessments. So in your example of the gift, let's say maybe they say that gift that you've received is actually gross income and you should be taxed on that gift. So it becomes your responsibility then to explain to SARS that this is actually exempt income. And then you have maybe to submit the supporting documents, just to substantiate that it is indeed not taxable income. So in an example of a gift, you can submit things like maybe proof of payment of donations tax that has been made by your friend. Because remember, when your friend gives you a gift, should be liable for the donations tax.
Goodness.
So that's something that can work to your favor then.
On that note though, what if SARS doesn't agree with some of these claims? You've confronted them, you've said, look, I don't agree with this particular process. What are the alternatives?
So you're saying now the objection has been declined. So you can appeal now. So when you appeal, your matter gets referred to the tax board. So the tax board independently reviews your submission.
And the independence between SARS and the tax board?
It's very, very independent because it's chaired by an independent chairperson that gets appointed by the Minister of Finance. So you can be rest assured that there won't be any biasness there,
We hope so. But what about the tax ombudsman? Is that also an alternative area to go to for a complaint?
It is. But the tax ombudsman, you don't need to wait until you have issues of objection and appeal. During any stage, of your tax assessment, you can just access the tax ombudsman.
But let's take a few steps back, Sis Busi, to the tax court. And I think just because of the title, tax court, a lot of people might be nervous there. Can you go there independently, or do you need some kind of a legal representative to guide you along?
It's always wise to go with the representative, because then they are acquainted with the courts and whatnot, with all the proceedings there in the courts. So, and also, your representative needs to be very much clued up with your case, because you don't want to go there and take chances.
Precisely. On that note, though, how does the procedure work? Because I think whenever we hear court, we think of this grueling and grilling process where they're going to be quite intense with their level of questioning for you as an ordinary taxpayer.
Obviously, they will be intense, yes, but they are very professional, Like I said, it's in people that are appointed by the minister. And, when you go to court now, the person who presides in that court gets appointed by the judge president in that jurisdiction, and the panel that sits in that court gets appointed by the president of the country. So that tells you of the level of professionalism and independence that goes into that court.
Sis Busi, you have highlighted quite a few avenues that you can go to should you have complaints, but I take it if I get a gift for 5,000 Rand for my friends versus somebody who has a company which might have received from some other kind of funds for 5 million Rand, that would obviously give you direction as to where the best process or place to dispute your disagreement would be? Because you mentioned the tax board, there's a tax ombud, there's a tax court, so many different avenues. How do you assess which one is best for you?
Yeah, I think you'll have to weigh the cost versus benefits, because also it's costly for you to challenge SARS and go through all those stages.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine at the end, after you've maybe gone to court and then you win, and then whatever cost that you've incurred are actually more than what you eventually recover. So you have to weigh those things. Although there's a threshold, though, I'm not sure of the correct amount this year, but there's a threshold of the matters that get referred to the tax court.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the objection process directly with SARS, the ADR process?
There are no thresholds there.
Okay.
So if you feel that you are aggrieved with the assessment, you can just put in an objection. Yeah.
And is the ADR process for free?
It is for free. No,
Okay.
it is for free.
You're making us nervous because if other costs involved there,
Yeah.
I think some people might just swallow the pill and pay the costs.
Remember,
nonetheless.
also SARS it's an ethical institution, so they would be willing to listen to your matter. And if after you've submitted your objection, you clearly prove that they were in the wrong, they would gladly reverse their assessment. Yeah. So they actually do encourage taxpayers to file in objections in case they do feel aggrieved. Yeah.
Let's fast track back to the tax court now, and where you mentioned again there is a procedure to follow. They are following ethical procedures there too. But what if the tax court also decides that, look, we don't agree with your assessment, Gugu? Is that the end of it all, or can this be appealed?
No, not at all. It's not the end. You know, it's still within your rights to take the matter forward. So you can just ask to be referred to the Supreme Court of Appeal. So they can still listen to your matter.
Goodness.
Yeah.
At least there are several options available, but
a lot of options.
exactly, several options available. But sis, we'll see if we come back to the theme as well, understanding as to what advice you need to follow with before you actually want to challenge SARS. Do you need to go out and seek some kind of professional tax advice? At what cost? And how do you balance it up? Because it's a legal dispute, but it also has accounting, tax, and other technical dilemmas at play.
Yeah. You know what? Before you go, you need to make sure that you understand your submissions and you understand that you believe that your calculations are the correct ones. Even if you are a layman, maybe when it comes to tax issues, get your representatives to explain explicitly to you, you know, because sometimes the representatives, they do take a chance, you know, because they just want to use you as a test case. They say, let's challenge SARS, let's see how it goes. So that with their other clients, they'll always refer to your case. And besides, whether your matter passes or not, they still get paid because they'll be charging you per hour. So you need to understand that you really, really want to take SARS on, you know, that becomes important. And another thing is, before you challenge SARS, make sure you have all the documents. Because,
I was about to say, supporting documents are quite critical.
Supporting documents, like in that example you've just given of the gift, get that proof of payment for the donations tax, because they will say, if you cannot prove that this was a donation, then we can just conclude that you were rendering services to your friend, therefore your friend was paying you gross income.
Goodness.
You know?
And on the supporting documents, I know SARS often says that you need to have documents for what, anything between 3 to 5 years? Is that still the time frame that you use?
Yeah. So you must make sure that for all the submissions that you make, you always keep a file of those documents until at least the expiry of the 5 years, because you'll never know when they would come back to you. Because, I mean, one of the clients that we had a case with, they submitted returns 4 years ago and they got a huge refund, you know. They blew out that refund, and then SARS only came back this year. They said, by the way, that refund shouldn't have been payable to you, you know. So we are investigating you, and only to find that at the end, the client had to pay back that refund. Now, they don't even have supporting documents to prove that this refund was indeed due to us. So it does become a problem. So the safest thing to do is keep all your supporting documents, you know. Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Technical issues when it comes to tax, but let's have a quick recap now of the key takeaways from tonight's discussion. Sis Busi, for those who might be catching the tail end of tonight's conversation, when you have an objection with SARS, what are the key elements that we need to ensure we bear in mind?
Yeah, make sure that you fully understand that you want to challenge SARS. And why do you want to challenge SARS? You have all the documents to substantiate your case. You've got a very clued up representative. If it's an accountant, it must be a qualified somebody. If it's a lawyer, it must be a qualified somebody, not someone who's just taking a chance with you. Yeah.
Exactly. And you are also able to double check those qualifications and their credentials,
yes,
right?
I always encourage people to sit with their representatives. Don't just trust the representatives to do everything. Like I said, you don't need to be an expert in tax to understand what's happening with your tax affairs.
That's very true, despite all the technicalities and the calculations that are involved. Sis Busi, thank you so much for your time today. Certainly sharing some lessons with us as consumers and taxpayers as to how best to seek conflict, or rather just a solution of disapprovals or disagreements that you might have with the South African Revenue Service. But that's how we wrap it up for tonight's episode. A big thank you once more to Busisiwe Mdletshe, who's the CEO of Btmt Capital, for joining us. Remember, we want to hear from you, so you can tweet any of your comments or feedback to @CNBC Africa using the hashtag Finance410, or to myself @Gugulethu. Until next time, it's goodbye for now.